We're back to Neil Haley Show. My guest today is again Tracy Poisner, and she's gonna from Undeletable Dad. She's gonna talk about what do you do as a father when you're only seeing your kids a short amount of time. You have them for weekends. You're not the primary, don't have primary custody, and really make it fun for the kids, but also be able to be a father, to learn the process, to figure out what it is to be a dad, and you're not in their lives as much. Tracy, that's a challenge, right? A lot of times it
Absolutely.
happens because of divorce and they either are traveling or certain things happen, and that mom becomes really the primary custody, and it's not shared custody like that.
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And I'm glad you asked it because I think it's natural for the dad to want to make every weekend special. You want them to be happy, you want to have a good time, you want it to be special, you want things to stand out, you want it to be memorable. And it is very counterintuitive, but what kids really want, just the way they want to watch the same darn video over and over, and they want to hear the same story over and over, they want their time to be with you to be somewhat predictable. They want it to be reliable. And I'm going to jump in here because most of the clients, well, all of the clients that I work with are in a kind of a high conflict situation where you have a big social issue to manage here, which is that your kids are a little bit uncomfortable coming to your house because they're getting, kind of subtle or not so subtle messages that they shouldn't enjoy themselves when they're with you, or that they're not going to have a good time, or that it's not completely safe at your house, or that you don't really notice them or whatever. So it's really important to establish a kind of a consistency and a routine so that you're just so reliable that it just is the same every time they come to you. So what do I mean by the same? I mean that when you pick them up and bring them to your house or they get dropped off, they should be walking into the same meal every time they come to you. It's something that they love. If that's the night that you want to order pizza, or that's the night that you do barbecue, or that's the night that it's dad's best spaghetti, or that's the night that you do pancakes for supper, it should be the same meal every time they arrive, so that there's a feeling of security. They know they know what to expect when they arrive. So that also the transition time, because you're going to find this out soon if it hasn't been a big feature of your life, but transitions are hell. The kids are hard to deal with. They're uncomfortable. They're either swinging from the chandeliers or they're quiet and withdrawn, often until it's almost time for them to go home. So what we want to do is manage the transition in a way that gives you back more time with your kids when they're feeling good. So this idea of the routine of it's like, it's always movie night. We have the same supper and then we watch a movie. You can watch a different movie, but they know that it's movie night, or this is the night that we always go for a swim at the local pool or whatever. You have some kind of routine where they get used to the idea of that they can settle into it. They know what's coming. They know. It's hard to imagine as a kid, like we take it for granted that they're living in a kind of a snow globe. Neil, you remember those snow globes from
Yes.
Christmas time where you turn it upside down and then the snow falls down and it's all good. Like it's like their life gets turned upside down in a snow globe and everything is like going like this, and then all of a sudden it's Sunday and it's time to go back when everything is settled down. So there's a lot of anxiety of just about like what's happening when I get there, what's going to be like. Everything feels new and different and unexpected, and the agenda as the dad, what you have planned, but you know kids don't, even into their teenage years. They just want to know that it's the same. It's something that it's a kind of food that they like, and it's an activity that feels good, and it's the same one every time. And then tomorrow you can make some surprises or do something different. And I would say the same on the returning end, that you want to plan some kind of wind down time before they're going back. You want lots of time to help them pack up their things so that they don't leave something important behind at your house. You want to have a really good connection, like really pay attention time in the hour or two before they're leaving, so that you make sure that you're not scrolling on your phone or watching the game in the last couple of hours before your kids are going home. That's the time when you're, reading a story together, playing cards together, tossing the football together. It should be the solid connection time before they leave.
The transitions are very, very difficult in anything, and you're kind of really placing it like it's a classroom. So if a father needs to really look at how to manage a household, especially by himself, for that time period, and really bring more routines and procedures than they're used to, and it should be always the same. Because what if they have a what if during the weekend? What happens to the kids?
What do you mean?
A what
Sorry,
if?
I'm
They
not
don't
sure.
know what they're going to do. They don't have anything
Yeah.
planned out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's okay to not have anything planned and to figure it out as you go, but there is a baseline of anxiety that I think we don't appreciate as much as we should as parents. And this idea of routine, consistency, reliability, this is your subconscious messaging now, that you are programming your kids to feel relaxed and comfortable with you because they know what they're walking into. So it's a strategy to make these things comfortable and the same. And, I mean, I have a lot of it. We could unpack this for hours about all the different ways to do it. But I think what's important about what to do with your kids is to find something that you lock into, like this works really well. This, like, order a pizza and then watch a movie, that works for my family. So you're just going to do that every single time that they come, so that they just know, they know what they're walking into. And the first few hours until bedtime with you are comfortable and predictable. And then we can get into the, all the other things about, like, what are the kinds of activities that you can do with kids.
Right.
That's another,
So
we can do another
for
session about that.
another podcast. But what
Yeah.
about, let's talk a little bit about then the planning session. Like, you see them every other weekend, right? It's only weekends. Every other weekend, there's always activities that can get things caught up as well, especially if there's lots of sports with lots of kids, if there's sports or even a couple kids, and it's the travel, all those different things. How you really need to be a planner as well, so that you're
Absolutely.
knowing what's happening, the kids' schedules, so you don't plan something and then there's something else to do.
Yeah, I mean, you for sure you have to be organized, especially if your kids have commitments, then you have to know how you're gonna, fit all of those in. I would say among the things that you want to be planning for is time with other people who like you. I don't know how else to say that. Like other people who are neighbors, friends, colleagues, parents of your kids' friends, people from your faith community, neighbors. You want to be spending time with other people who are interacting with you, and your kids are getting to see how the world relates to you. Because again, in a high conflict kind of situation, they are hearing a narrative about how people don't like you, or you're not somebody who has a lot of friends, or you're not a trustworthy person. So again, in a subconscious way, they're getting to see that lots of people think you're an okay guy. And that your friends maybe have kids that they can play with, or that the parents of their friends are happy to interact with you. So like making play date time, I'm going to say, even if the kids are older, but like connect at the park to play soccer, or connect to go out all together to McDonald's or for pizza or Chuck E. Cheese, right? Connecting with other people who have kids, so that they just get this experience of seeing other adults be okay with you. And meanwhile, they get to play with other kids, and it's happening in the peripheral vision, which is very impactful for them subconsciously.
Mm-hmm. Such important stuff. What do you think the biggest mistake people make? Dads make on the weekend trips?
I think it's doing too much,
visits.
to be
Too much.
honest. I think it's trying to do too much, to get too much in, to be, to make a splash, make every weekend, memorable and important. And I'm going to show how much I love you by, like, we're going to do all this, like high energy stuff. And it's understandable. Like, it's completely understandable wanting to give your kids those wonderful experiences. But what they really want is time to feel what it's like to just feel your energy and just be in your presence, and to, to get to touch you, to get to arm wrestle with you, to get to horse play, or throw football with you, to get to snuggle on the couch with you, to hear your voice, like reading stories. It sounds so old fashioned, but the sound of your voice, the frequency of your voice carries so much important information on it. You just I can't underestimate how that important that is. So it's like basic stuff. I would prioritize that over the big bang, kind of like, we'll go to the amusement park and we'll do the roller coaster every weekend that you're here. The low key stuff is just as important.
All right. Best place to go is undeletabledad.com, right? And then they
That's
can
right.
check everything out, schedule a call with you and all that stuff, right? It's available there, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. We appreciate it, Tracy. Great information.
Thank
You're
you.
listening
Nice
and
to
watching
be
the
here.
Nhaley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.